Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome to Weaves of Waves. Yeah, I'm playing with my Shungite. I don't even know if I pronounced that right. Shungite. I went shopping yesterday and yeah, things have been happening. You see, we moved and yeah, lots of having to I don't even know if the internet works. So this video is just to test and see whether the internet actually uploads. But never mind, this is Shungite. I went to Glastonbury. I moved pretty closer to Glastonbury again, and I like Glastonbury very much. And I had a lot of, deep, meaningful things. I thought I was going to go and sort of find someone to read my tarot cards, because I wanted advice. There's quite a few people there that I respect in Glastonbury who do readings, and none of them were about. So it was like, okay, what now? So I went into the Chalice Well Gardens. And I've been having trouble with my ankles. My Achilles tendons keep flaring up. And I'm not hurting them, they're just flaring up. So I've changed my diet to sort of lower the acidity in my level and balance it up. And it's less. But yeah, I still sort of have problems with the Achilles tendons. And so I took my shoes and socks off and I went for a paddle in the Chalice Well, in the area where you can sort of walk in it, walk in this beautiful red water. For those of you who don't know Glastonbury, Chalice Well, there is two springs that come up within basically 100 yards of each other, and one of them is very red and the other one is white. So it's the red and the white spring. And I've watched Glastonbury change quite a few times over the years, but the Chalice Well Gardens is like a formal, I suppose it probably is Victorian garden, but it's formal and it's all landscaped, and there's beautiful little enclaves where you can find, I don't know, Virgin Mary, Michael's, sort of, little statues, and you can drink the water there, and it's very, very irony. The red well is very irony. When I was pregnant, I wanted the red water, but most of the time I find it tastes like blood, basically. So it's a blood well in my world. And yeah, the formal gardens, it's quite reflects place of contemplation and stillness, and it's not a place where you go and talk to people and be sociable, which is where the other side of the road virtually is where the White Spring is. And I've always found the White Spring to be chaotic and a little bit dark, a little bit sort of shadowy, it's where you face your shadows, but it's also where you sort of chat to the people filling up their bottles. But a lot of people come and fill up their water bottles in the White Spring. And yeah, I didn't stay long at the White Spring. I was not into a space where I wanted to chat to loads of people. So I took my shoes and socks off and went for a paddle in the water, and it was icy. I mean, it's like so cold, it's painful. You don't even feel the ice for the first couple of minutes, and then suddenly it hits you, and it's like, oh my goodness, my poor feet, my poor ankles. And the pain levels just went up and up and up and up, and I was like, eesh, I had to sit down with my feet. I didn't take my feet out of the water. I thought, let it happen. Just bring it on. I'm not one that runs away from pain and hard work and stuff. So it was, can I take any more of this? And the pain levels went up and up and up. And then suddenly it hit bliss. And I'm like, wow, I'd forgotten this. I had forgotten that you go through the storm and come out the other side. And I forgotten that. And the pain in my ankles receded. I wouldn't say it's gone. But the ice cold water obviously has contracted. I mean, it's obviously inflamed. So instead of heating it, I should have been cooling the ankles. But I can certainly, one side is much better. The other one, I still got twinges there. But there was all kinds of things that came up. I sat and meditated there. It was just blissful. It was like, ooh, it was nice cold. It wasn't even cold. It got to a point where it was just nice temperature. And I'm like, whoa, I've had a experience, and I put that in capital letters, an experience, because that was physical. That was a physical experience that showed me again what I'd forgotten. You have to go through the storm to come out the other side. And so, yeah, I potted around there for a while, and then put my shoes and socks back on, always bring a towel if you're going to do that sort of thing, because then you've got wet feet. But anyway, so then I wandered down into the town, and yeah, I was thinking I was going for a tarot reading, but there wasn't anyone. So I looked around and I realized what I was looking for was a safe space. I just wanted to sit and meditate, and they have a little courtyard there, and the goddess temple is there, and it is a safe space. It's beautiful. It's very feminine. Now I get why guys, I wonder if guys feel invited when it's so female, but at the time it feels good. You see, I like being in balance. I like when masculine and feminine are in balance, and I often feel that sometimes these places are too feminine, and I get why, because it's sometimes, there's a lot of churches outside that are too masculine, so they try and balance it up. I'm not sure how much they do it. It's also very love and light and new agey, which again, I think there's a place for that. So I'm not knocking it, and it is a place, because if I was Christian, I would have gone into a church where I could sit and pray. But I'm not Christian, and churches make me feel uncomfortable. I'm not praying as such as going in. And to find a safe space where you can go within is actually very, very important. I hadn't realized how important it is to me. And so what I did was I sat and meditated, and I cried my eyes out for a bit, and I don't know where that came. It was like another storm. Whoosh! Stormy, stormy. I didn't make a noise. I didn't want to make a noise to make anybody else feel uncomfortable. I don't think anybody noticed. I just sat there in the corner, and tears came. And I haven't cried in years, and I'm like, okay, this is probably another saying, you can't be strong all the time. Even the strong has to have a cuddle every now and again. It was like, don't worry about it. And the temple there is, it's just an ordinary room, or maybe 2 rooms, above the courtyard. And they have some magnificent artwork, and it's comforting. It's like the earth holds you, even though you're basically it's a flat above a shop, basically. And I had to find a box of tissues, blow my nose on the way out, and they were really helpful. When it was just quiet, you take your shoes off, donation only, and oh wow, again, it's a safe space. So came down out of the safe space, and I wandered into the crystal shop. There's like the Stone Age crystal shop, and I bought myself Shungite. Shungite. Shun. Shungite, I think, something like that. And I didn't know it. I know most of my crystals. I know, I lived in South Africa. South Africa's got every crystal underneath the sun, and I didn't know what this was. And I thought, that's the one that attracts me. I have no idea what it is, which is kind of an adventure. So what? Why do I feel that it's like how would I explain the feeling? Protection, I suppose. You see, I'm strong, I don't need protection. I keep telling myself that. But obviously I need to release and feel safe. And I haven't done that in a couple of years, and it builds up and explodes. So I looked at this and I thought, okay, well, let's follow the intuition. My mind doesn't know. So my mind says, oh, you can't spend money on something you don't know what it means. Ah, shut up, mind. My mind is not necessarily the boss of me all the time. Thank goodness. So I went home and I looked it up. It's a Russian stone, and it's mostly carbon. It's like 80% carbon. It's like, okay, that's coming up a lot in other places. And they don't actually understand why it's carbon, because carbon is meant to come from organic material, and yet this carbon is like 2 billion years old, and they don't know where the carbon comes from because there wasn't meant to be life on this planet 2 billion years ago. Okay, I like kind of the mystery. So that was the Wikipedia stuff. That was the base thing. They don't know what to do with it. It's they've used it as a jewellery, but because it's a matte finish, it's not really in a popular jewellery. So they did some tests, and they found that the carbon, it purifies water, so you stick the water in it, that's a good plus point. But it is also an EMF, an electromagnetic frequency protector. So I went away thinking, wow, of all the stones to choose, this is the one that I probably need the most. Because I don't know about I'm not an electrician, and I'm not an engineer. I don't go in for the science of it. I don't understand how Wi-Fi works. I don't understand how electricity works, because to me that's magic. Okay, so that's fine. But there are wave frequencies that upset me, and Wi-Fi is on its limit where I've learnt to adapt to it. But I remember when it first came out that I would get headaches a lot, and I had to adapt slowly, and now I'm fully adapted. There's Wi-Fi all around, and I'm okay, what the heck, I use a hotspot for my phone, and everything is built on Wi-Fi and sort of the mobile data stream and all that sort of thing. So yeah, the electromagnetic frequencies, they say also, and again, this is just something I've read, and it's disproved on Wikipedia, which always means that it's interesting. It's also a 5G blocker. Now, for me, it's an absorption. So there's an absorption going on. Carbon can take an awful lot of absorption. So I can understand the logic. I don't understand 5G. So I'm staying out of those waters. I think that they should not build them near schools, but I like fast internet. So I get that there's an awful lot I don't understand here, because there's a lot of very smart people that are jumping up and down about this. Okay, that again is out of my scientific waters, but this is the stone I chose. So I have to kind of look into these waters a little bit more, because there's obviously something there that I didn't understand before. And there was other things. There was what came to me? Breath work. I've been very bad about about breath work. I don't quite enjoy breathing meditations. And yeah, there's an awful lot of shock going on in this world. So in other words, that you watch the news, you go onto Telegram, you get thrown off Facebook. There's a shock impact that happens, and yeah, your body starts to breathe badly, and you hold your breath. That sort of shock holds, and it gets recorded, and it releases cortisone, steroids. It releases the cortisone steroids in your body, and that builds up. And I understand that part, because too much shock and horror leaves you blunted, and yeah, your immune system, everything else is different. I get that, and I understand that on quite a few levels. It is why, yeah, I come off social media quite, well, not as often as I should. When I heard that Facebook had gone down yesterday, I thought, yes, I can get over my Facebook addiction. I was quite disappointed to see it up and running this morning. It was like, okay, I get my point. I miss people on Facebook. I like my Facebook friends, but I'm aware that there's an awful lot of horror and sadness on it. There's an awful lot of horror on Telegram. There's a lot of horror on Twitter. I like Twitter. But how much more can your body take? How much more cortisone steroids have to be released? This will take away negativity, and it will absorb it. I get it. Okay, now, those of you who are not into crystals, fine. Crystals run your watch. Crystals run an awful lot of things. So, in other words, there's a frequency. It's a waveform. And some of us can feel the waveform. I think everyone can if they really tune into it. I'm not a special person in that way. But you can feel the... it just absorbs it. I can squeeze it really hard and it can take it. Yeah, so there was the breath work. Got to continue your breath work. It's necessary. There is you can release the tension that is caused in the body by a breath work routine. There's lots of them out there. You don't need me to tell you how. But breath work meditation is where I have to be looking at, and I'm like, all right then, I suppose so. I'll do as I'm told. And there's also this healing. You see, I'm in need of a healer. And I am too strong for most healers. I I overwhelm most people. This is why reading my tarot cards, I've very rarely had people who can actually read me, because yeah, I can, if I open up, go on then, read me, and it's full on. Not many people can take that, and it's okay. It's my personality. I'm not an easy person. I show obviously a lot of my shadows, and I'm quite happy with my shadows. I'm light and dark, and I come from dark, but I'm light. I've never understood the bouncing back. I've decided that the labels themselves are wrong. That light is a separate entity, and I find it too much most of the time. It's like an illusion. It's unclear. Whereas darkness is safety for me. And then everybody tells me darkness is evil and this is a big fight against light and darkness, and I think that's bullshit. And in my opinion and in my experience, light does not fight against darkness. They are two separate entities. They're like on a spectrum, if you like. You can have intense light, but at the other end of the spectrum you've got dark. So it's more like probably a spiral rather than a circle. But I don't have a understanding of how this matches up with duality, because duality is wrong. Because you're always going to have pushing and pulling. So if one person stands up, somebody's going to stand up to match them. So this universe to me is wrong. It's fundamentally flawed on that level, if that's what they tell me it is so. A lot of the time I've come to understand that the five senses, the data stream that's coming in, is wrong. I've probably explained that in another video. The data stream is corrupted. So anything that's coming in through my five senses plus, is wrong, considering I can't see fuck all. I'm basically really, really short-sighted. So I understand that what I see and what other people see is very different, because they can see details. I need to put a pair of glasses on to see details. So that alone tells me that the data stream is screwed up. So if we're looking at waveforms and breath work and safety and also being strong for too long, yeah, you have to face the storm. That storm that came through was beautiful, and it came through again emotionally. So I got the storm on the Chalice Well physically. How the fuck that hurts, and I faced it and went through it, and I'm not so much pain. So I'm wondering, do I need a healer? I wouldn't mind somebody who could face the full on. I need advice, I think, but I don't know. Maybe I can just find it within, because I've done too much, if you like. I understand when somebody doesn't know and they're just waffling it. So we will see where that flows, but maybe I've got what I need here. And the second storm was an emotional one. And again, I didn't know where it came from. I try and do my meditation, try and process all those things, but being strong for too long. Whew. That was a heavy duty thing. So I felt very tired. I slept very well last night. Doof. In spite of the rain and in spite of the leaks. So yeah, that's where I've been. I've been exploring Shungite. Shungite. Oh dear. My Russian isn't that good. Sorry about that. But I'm quite amazed. I'm always shocked. It's magic. It's when your intuition shows you something what you need, and it is exactly what you need. So again, I don't know what you need, but I mean, all I can show you is that there's something bigger out there that is bigger than all of us. I'm not an atheist. I believe that I am God, a God, small g. I am a God inside my subjective universe. I rule. There is no other voices in there apart from me. And if other people hear voices, I can't explain those. All I do know is that there's no one in there apart from me. I am the sole occupant of my subjective universe, the inside my head. And it's not necessarily inside my head, it's kind of inside me, the being that is me. And in there is a quiet one that watches. I can't get that one to comment at all, that's just a watcher. And they tell me that could be my higher self. Okay, that's pretty cool. I'll accept that. So, yeah, there's lots of information. I've probably piled it on too fast. I'm still learning my video editing. I might play around with this video before I put it up in places. But I'm still here. Love you lots. Take care of yourselves and each other. Bye now.